but I don't think it's well established for all the different groups of deep sea corals. And so I think more research in there would be really interesting.
And of course, the real reason we're all here, to find Atlantis.
No.
You're talking about things we want to do in our fields or things you want to find out?
Yes, puzzles and mysteries.
Well, this isn't quite a mystery, but I want to know what it's like to dive in Alvin. No, to go down as a person to the deep sea would be spectacular.
Yep.
Do you think...
Are we at the steep part yet, or?
I suppose dive in Alvin isn't required, but
We are going up the hill.
Do you think we'd ever replace the ROVs for HOVs?
I think in general it's going in the other direction. There are many more ROVs than human-occupied vehicles.
Yep.
It's
it's just another tool, right? You have to find the right tool for the job. And oftentimes, when you're covering large distances like we are, several kilometers or, sometimes tens of kilometers on the seafloor, the tool for, HOVs for my type of work would be really useful if you were sitting in one spot and doing a lot of sampling, right? They're really good workhorses. But, they're battery run, so if you're planning on doing a lot of maneuvering, maybe there's a better tool for that. Although I think Alvin can do like 6 kilometers across the seafloor on a charge, something like that.
Oh, wow.
But all of the energy expenditure, like sampling, costs energy too. Then you've got the human costs and the potential risks associated with them. They typically only dive from early in the morning, 6 or 7 in the morning till 5 p.m. And then you have to recharge the batteries and do the whole thing over again. So yeah, for a tool like this where we're in very rugose environments, I have typically found that ROVs are the better tool, for the several kilometers survey job. But if we were in a flat area, for example, we wanted to service a large area and take a look at what's there, we might want to use an AUV, for example. They typically, right now, the current technology does better on flat and less rugose terrain. So it's just it's all part of the toolbox.
What other kind of quote-unquote tools can we use?
Can use towed cameras sometimes too. Those are very helpful if there's challenging surface conditions that might prohibit launch of a like an ROV and station keeping. I've used those before. What else?
There are towed arrays of hydrophones and also stationary bottom position hydrophones for studying the sounds of marine mammals and other sounds in the seafloor.
Yeah, we can also put landers down. The landers are really useful in the event of really deep environments where it's very expensive to put lots of pieces of equipment. So a lander can go down, spend a long time, record any amount of data, then pop back to the surface. I've used those before too. Pretty cool. So you've used a variety of different types of these tools.
Can you use humans, like divers, as a specific one of these tools, or is that a less effective tactic?
Yep. I've done science diving before, usually within less than 120 feet. Is really, when you're talking about corals and biology and fishes, you're really interested in 60 feet and shallower. There's really not much more need to go deeper, but to go deeper actually gives you some insight about the mesophotic depths, for example. That's a really hot topic right now, but it requires very special training in gas, different equipment and training in gas mixtures to permit that. So, for example, rebreathers, or other types of, trimix gas are required to get down that deep. And even then, you still have a limited bottom time. So there's overlap in each of these tools. You might want to use a small ROV, for example, if you're going to go shallow. There's a lot of those that are made. You can control them with a joystick remote control. Nothing too fancy.
Then we use stuff like, are they called Argo floats for some autonomous biogeochemical sampling?
Yep, we've deployed Argo floats before.
Lots and lots of Argo floats.
Yep. If you wanted to do CTDs too, very valuable tools for sampling the water column without having to go in the water. It's usually a very common occurrence on oceanographic research ships that when it's too rough for bottom operations, you send down the CTD because you can usually have some more tolerance with the CTD.
So lots of tools. It's exciting.
Sure.
All right. So the question for our ROV guys up front, do you guys control the winches from the van to maintain depth from Atalanta, or is that managed elsewhere?
Well, it's Gibson. He's got his hand on the winch significant amount of the time while we're in operations here. He's controlling the depth of Atalanta. There's 4 cameras up here on the big screen looking at the various bits on the winch.
And how fast can that winch come out?
It can do, we limit the speed to 30 meters a minute, or about 1 knot, vertically through the water. But it can do twice that. It's
Oh, 2 knots. Whoa. Hang on, before I scoff at that, how fast is 2 knots?
limiting factor there is Hercules. It has to fly to keep up, so we don't want to drag it through the water, although we do and can and have.
So the limiting factor really is how fast Hercules can go so we don't damage him?
We risk, so when we're towing it that fast, we're putting all the strain on the tether between Atalanta and Hercules.
Mm-hmm.
The tether can take it, and the attachment points on Atalanta and Hercules can take it. It's a Kevlar tether, and the termination is a clever mechanical design that captures all the aramid fibers. But we risk popping one of the fibers open or having some issues there. But we often tow it through the water. I guess our max speed is about 1 knot, but in an emergency we can give it the Yankee, as we say.
So what would be considered an emergency? Like a breakdown, or Hercules being damaged, or?
If we have to come up rapidly because we've got ourselves in trouble and we're coming up to a giant cliff or a structure or something like that.
So kind of an evasive maneuver type thing?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Have you ever had to really crank that before?
Yeah, we have. Usually it's during some weather, if the boat's having trouble holding position and we're working around structures or cliffs.
Ah, okay. So out of all of our ROVs, which one's be easiest to recover, would you say?
Um, they all have their unique challenges.
All right, then let me put it this way. What is the most like specialized ROV that we have to recover? Like steps that no other ROV has?
I don't know if any one stands out as more difficult than the other. Atalanta's easier in one way because it's already attached to the cable and we simply winch it up, but we have to catch it on while it's still in the water on the stern of the vessel. So we put taglines on it with hooks, so that requires personnel to be standing there. 2 people standing at the back of the vessel with a pole with a titanium hook attached into it to a spectra line that's hooked to air tuggers, which is challenging, especially in weather. The back deck's going up and down, up 2 meters and down 2 meters, and you have weather and dark and can splash.
Take the same approach with Argus.
Yeah, same with Argus. But Hercules doesn't require that intervention, but we have to manage the tether, bring its tether in, as it's got a recovery line that has to be, recovery line's actually attached to Atalanta, so we have to get that off once Atalanta's on deck and pull the line off that mates the recovery line to the tether, attach the recovery line to the crane. Then once it's on the crane, it's fairly straightforward. We just winch it in until it's hanging under the crane, pluck it out. But then we have to lift it out of the water and swing it over the side of the vessel and land it in a cradle. So during weather, that's 5,000 pounds, size of a minibus in the air above your head, swinging around.
That's safe.
And that has to be swung in and landed on the deck and then secured. So they both have their, like I say, their unique challenges. And it's probably the, it can be the most challenging part of the operation here is launching and recovering the vehicles. Certainly the most risky part with regards to personnel and equipment.
Metallagorgia, some crinoids as well. We were discussing in the chat about, the science chat about possibly collecting one of these crinoids. They don't seem to be in such a shortage here, so we're not going to stop yet. But maybe when we're climbing the next slope,
Looks like we're
towards
climbing the
towards
next
the
slope
end of the
now.
dive, we'll think about that.
For those of you wondering how to join the science chat, become a scientist and work with the EV Nautilus, and maybe you can get a shot.
You got time to go back for a second?
Negative.
Negative? Okay.
Oh, sorry. We have a significant layback here, and we're coming up on the steep part of the hill. You can stop her up. Let us catch up. It's actually going to look like we're going faster here for a few minutes, Steve.
Yep. Yep.
Kicking it into overdrive.
All right, so crinos, other crinoids. A lot of
Look at
rubbly
the graph
material
here. Yeah, we have some vertical as well as horizontal, so covering twice the ground.
Oh, an anemone.
I probably should have slowed her down earlier, sorry.
Yeah, some unusual sea pens around here, possibly black corals, or umbellula here. A bit of diversity. I thought all this stuff kind of looked like rubble, but maybe it's consolidated with crust. Something pretty steep coming up.
Looks like it's going vertical here. Let's come up a bit more aggressively there.
Roger.
And just keep an eye on that 20-meter ranging as long as you're out. As long as that's not encroaching there, we're all right.
Gotcha.
Okay, you're probably all right there.
Yep.
It's disappearing. But let's keep coming up till I get up over the top here, because I'm getting underneath you there.
Roger.
Keep that high delta.
Gotcha. Your delta seems to be stuck on your screen, but mine's moving around.
Yeah, it does that once in a while.
Hello. For those of you just joining us, we're coming on. Ooh, yeah. We're coming on the latter end of our dive. We're in the last few hours of it. This will probably be the last shift of said dive. So yeah, just kind of hanging out until we get recovered. And then you can join us for that, for our deep blue water conversations. The best kind.
Good.
Here's another question. Are there any stationary autonomous stations, or SAS, positioned in the deep sea to observe the passing sea currents / creatures? Or ocean conditions and creatures?
Probably they're talking about observatory lake systems, and yeah, there's observatories all over the world that have autonomous or semi-autonomous sensors. Yep.
Have we dropped any?
No.
So one of these guys you're wanting to collect, is it?
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah, there's no shortage here, so I'd like to keep going a little bit. Make sure
Crinoid
we're all
rocks.
caught up.
Still not quite caught up here, but
There's no shortage here. Plenty of animals.
I was gonna make a joke, but it's a little too early to make them, so hold on.
Thank you.
You're welcome. No, please. No more puns.
Nav, I have a quick question. Would you have a chance?
You can go ahead and do it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Oh, Nav, not Mav.
So, assuming we get to the depth of waypoint 6, which is,
About 1600.
yeah.
Yep.
What would be our off-bottom time to make it on deck by 8?
It would be around 6, maybe a little after 6:05.
Okay.
what's the depth of that waypoint?
1600.
All right.
Yep.
I missed that part of the conversation, apparently.
Yeah, we got some time. There's some black corals here, as well as more of these yellow crinoids. I think they've been characteristic of this entire site so far. Been seeing them since very early on, at least waypoint 2 or 3, in substantial densities. It's not unusual. Some sites just have incredible abundance of crinoids, and some sites don't. Not sure what it is about this site. A lot of bamboo rubble here suggests that maybe there's a lot of predation going on, but I haven't seen any active predation yet. There's chrysogorgia here too, as well as
Steve wants to do any sample here while the boat's stopped. But you want to do any sampling here, Steve, or you want to keep moving?
no, let's keep going.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's put
Oh, you got a little thing in the tether here, Dan.
If we keep
Yeah.
going, it gives us options, which
speed
is
back to 0.3. Sure.
okay.
There's a question in chat. What's something you've encountered on these dive that you never would have expected to see or find? The snipe eel, definitely.
It was a after identification revision, it was like a duckbill
Oh
eel
yeah,
or something we called it, or no, sawtooth.
the sawtooth
Yeah.
eel. That's what it was. Yeah, that was pretty unexpected. The amount of trash we've seen so far, also pretty unexpected.
I think the columnar basalts was so
Oh,
cool.
the columnar basalts were really, really
It's my
cool.
favorite part of the expedition.
Those are really nice to look at.
Yeah, I don't know if I expected to find them. I knew they were, part of the seafloor, but yeah, it was really cool to see the columnar basalts.
It looks like stairs almost.
I want to see the glory shots of Hercules that we got with the columnar in the background.
We got a few
Yeah,
actually.
those were so cool.
But yeah, yesterday's dive was really something else.
And we got to see the, I'm not going to give it, pretend I know its name, but the ugly fish. That was cool.
The bony-eared blankfish, yeah.
Yeah, bony-eyed.
Bony-eyed, sorry. How long will the dive last today? The dive's
Heteropathes.
just wrapping up, so another maybe 2 or 3 hours.
Yellow and brown crinoid morphs here. I guess brown is not all that different you know, the color brown in animals is not really all that different from yellow. It's just a matter of density, but pigment density, but I don't really notice any morphological differences between some of them here.
So all brown creatures are yellow depending on density?
Not necessarily the pigment density.
Hmm. Thank you, Connor.
Is this this rock potentially of interest to you, right here,
Fish.
or not so much?
Not really.
Okay, all right. Let's skip it.
Maybe this one right back here.
Yeah, there's a crinoid on that one too. I was thinking,
Yeah.
Dan, if we could find a crinoid, rock crinoid,
Yeah, that one looks fine.
pick it up. Let's see. Can we see if that's loose?
Yeah.
Pretty much any rock has a crinoid on it here.
Yeah, I got a lot of options.
No, this one looks much more like a slab. Although
I can't.
this one has one on it.
Oh, never mind. Yeah. It's just all crust.
Crinoid garden.
Well, I can start looking a little harder if you'd like. Should we grab a rock with a
yeah,
crinoid?
I mean, there's no urgency. So if we find one here or in another 100 meters, I don't think it's going to make much of a difference. All right, we'll keep looking. Front row.
Follow-up question, when is the next dive after this one? To be determined, I think. I don't think we have an exact dive plan. It could be within the next 6 hours. It could be the next 24 hours. We're just not sure. Am I right on that, Steve?
We have a dive site.
Oh, we do. Never mind.
It should be about 4 hours before we're turned around, but that's always, you know, dependent on how long things take to turn around. So the plan, ideally, would be turn around in 4 hours.
There we go. Another question from chat. What is the most common misconception about the deep sea that you hear frequently? Or just something that not many people know about the deep sea ecosystems?
Something I just keep forgetting is how dark it is down here, because we always have these awesome lights.
That's true.
And it's just like, right, there is no light down here.
It's pitch black.
Yeah.
There's a misconception that the deep sea is stable, that it's consistently stable over time, and perhaps, you know, the natural range of environmental conditions is not as variable as the shallow ocean, but I think there's a lot of things that can happen in the deep sea. It's, you know, we just don't get a chance to see them as we would at surface. You know, like whether it's, you know, mudslides or these types of events, especially on seamounts or in continental slopes where you have a lot of falling debris, submarine canyons especially. You know, there could be differences in oceanographic conditions that are consistent with internal waves and tides, that we don't really get a good picture on over the course of a snapshot dive. A sea pen down here too.
So Steve, you said a
Anthoptylum.
Sorry, continue.
Okay. There's a lot of small stuff here, I've noticed.
Is that another sea pin by that crinoid? Is that just a coral stalk?
Could be
That's just a stalk of something.
hydroids or something on there.
Yeah, it looks like hydroids.
Kind of looks like a little ice cream cone right here. A rock.
Is that because the front box is heavy or the tether's pulling you up?
We
think
have
there's
to have
a
we have to find one with a crinoid on
Glass
it.
sponge.
Right.
Yeah.
I wasn't,
Oh.
yeah.
Ideally. I think we still have room for rocks. What's in the starboard box is on the E and F? Just the scoop?
A scoop and an additional rock.
Okay. And in the back, F?
And we have yellow bathypathes.
Okay. Huh. Okay. That might be a little floaty.
Another question from chat. Atalanta has an open space type frame construction, but Hercules has yellow boxes / housing at the top of that. Is it housing different pieces of equipment? No. ROV team, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. But I believe most of the top of Hercules, where that little foam is, or where that little yellow thing is foam that is able to help Hercules stay buoyant. So they're built slightly different because they have different jobs, whereas Hercules is meant to go along the surface of the ocean. Atalanta is just meant to hold, attach to the cable, and then attach to Hercules and relieve some of the tension from the cable from Hercules. ROV team, how'd I do on that definition?
Would it?
Their conception was saying that the yellow boxes / the yellow things were boxes and housing. Yeah.
Kukui?
Can we
Yes.
take a look at this on here passing by?
Is there a size rock I should be looking for? Or does it not matter? Small, like
Yeah.
10 centimeters or less?
Yeah.
Okay.
You want me to spin around? Okay. Yeah, the foam pack weighs over 2,000 pounds in air, and it gives us over 2,000 pounds of buoyancy in the water.
Half zoom.
Nice.
Oh,
Red
wow.
stauropathes.
Staropath.
Is that a double whammy rock there?
No, I
No.
think we're looking for something smaller.
The one the coral's on would be nice, but
Yeah.
not looking for the coral. It's alright, we'll have a lot of options.
They got the wrap out of the 6-8, eh? Yeah.
The crinoids aren't going to go away anytime soon. We can keep moving along the bottom.
I've rotated to follow you. 320.
answer the question in chat. When did Nautilus start using a telestrator, and how valuable has it become to the process?
2020 and immensely.
What do we use beforehand? Did we just use over there, or a laser pointer, or?
Yeah. Pretty much we used, laser pointers don't work usually on screens. So we had to use basically a ball and stick. Which we still have.
Stick is still over here.
Really?
The watch lead would often stand behind the pilots, just point to things. If we were doing some intensive sampling or
I
something.
bet that wasn't obnoxious.
Yeah, that was probably really obnoxious. But we can collect a rock if it would come across it.
I was
eventually.
told we're good on rocks.
Okay,
So
let's keep going then. So Dan, we can skip the crinoid search.
Yeah. Could this be the equivalent of Christmas tree hunting in the deep sea? Rocks with crinoids on it?
oh, there's a eel over there.
Cuscule?
I don't know.
Maybe a helisar. It's a very small one. Very tough to tell when they're that small. They're fast.
You spotted a halisar?
Yeah,
Wow.
it flew past, or swam past.
Past tense. Then when we take a shot at this question in chat, if you were to lose total communication / power of the ROVs, would you have to winch them up, or would they rise to the surface on their own? I believe we winched them up. What we were discussing earlier about that emergency kind of thing, or I'm not entirely sure, but I believe we winched them up to the surface and then take measures to get them back aboard the ship as soon as possible, and then fix that problem. I believe ROV team, Dean, I'm sure you have more knowledge than I. Oh, great. Yeah.
It's a good looking shrimp.
Hello, shrimp.
Wow.
It's got some size.
Yep, suggested shrimp. One of the swimming shrimps.
I see
Family of them.
cucumber in the background. Oh, he felt that bump, eh?
What kind of shrimp did
Into
you say
it.
that was?
Suggested.
Suggested.
S. Let me see here. This, yeah. Alrighty. So.
It's like a little browsing by it.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like we might have made our way into a sheet flow. Very
Oh.
thin beds.
Sheet flow is related to a low viscosity flow, right?
Yeah.
Which is a function of temperature and flow rate.
Low viscosity, or I guess flow rate is a function of low viscosity.
Right.
And then temperature is, yeah, and then viscosity is a function of temperature.
Is it a function of pressure as well?
I'm sure it is, but I don't,
Not as significant?
yeah, or at least they don't talk about that in geology courses.
It's just, you know, you'd think from surface to 1,700 meters, you'd get different sheet flows if it was a function of pressure. I suppose the temperature is going to change too, but anyways, just curiosity.
Yeah, I think because they're solids, the magma, it may be a little different.
Ah, fair point.
Yeah.
I'm used to fluids or gases. That's cool.
Would it also be dependent on what the material the magma's made out of?
What else would be dependent on it?
Or
The lithology.
or like, is the viscosity also dependent on the type of material the magma's made from?
Oh.
Yeah, because like magnesium-rich magmas are have a lower viscosity,
Okay.
where more silica-rich have a higher viscosity.
Okay. Cool.
We're looking at magnesium-rich rocks here.
Nice.
Magnesium and iron, mafic.
Yeah, okay.
Call that mafic.
Nice.
But there's still silica in it, but just not as much.
And would silica make it more viscous, I heard, or something
Yeah.
like that?
Yep.
Okay.
More silica, the more viscous.
Viscous silicon.
Right.
Gross.
Gotcha.
Oh, another fish here.
Is that a halosaur?
Wow, I couldn't even see that until I spent a few.
Two was right in front of us.
Yeah.
Come in.
It's very serpentine.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
It's a halosaur. It's getting as close up here. Yeah.
Oh. Bye-bye.
Answer the question in chat. I've always wondered, does the light from the ROV affect these creatures? It'll spook them. Or at least some of the swimming creatures. Versus the coral and the sea cucumbers, it doesn't really affect them at all. Because they just kind of, don't really have eyes. So most of the creatures that we see here, the ROV light doesn't really affect in any way, but more of like our swimming creatures, they'll get a little entranced by it and maybe swim away, but other than that, nothing bad.
Some of the fishes get blinded and stunned, so they run into
sea
stuff,
star on the right there.
unfortunately, but
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that looks like a cookie.
Ooh, where?
Not a cookie star, but a cookie.
Where?
You don't see right here?
Oh my gosh, it really does.
Actually, probably, yeah, coming closer to it looks more and more
Full zoom.
dough-like.
All right. Sure.
Are there leatherback stars in the
It's a
leather
half
stars in
zoom.
the deep sea?
Sure.
I don't know what that is, but it's not something I've heard of.
Not a,
This is a goniasterid, also known as a cookie star.
Oh,
These are more common at these depths. They're usually,
alright.
you know, both. They can be both deposit feeders as well as predators.
what came first, the cookie or the cookie star? Probably the cookie star.
My intuition tells me you're correct.
It's full zoom.
Wow,
Temporary.
very detailed tissue.
Yeah. It looks like a pierogi.
It's all, all of those plates along the side are fairly hard calcium carbonate, and also on top. So that they're actually fairly rigid. There's not a lot of soft tissue on the outside. But yeah, they have really cool geometric patterns and shapes.
Yeah, it looks hexagonal. The polygons on its face. Struggling to find a word.
Is that the back or the face?
I think this may be the back.
Yeah, the face
Oh,
is currently latched
Fair
onto
enough.
the...
Yeah.
Okay. Good zoom.
Thanks.
Steve, you know?
What's the little hexagonal shapes? What are they? Is it just like armor, or is it?
Yeah, they're I forget the name of it, but they're basically, yeah, like calcium carbonate plates. But there are also some small pedicelaria in there that are microscopic. If you notice that not a lot of sea stars or no sea stars are fouled up by other animals and things attached, they have actually defenses on their all over their bodies, basically like small pincher claws that are really cool. If you ever get a chance
Go ahead, Dan.
to see the videos of them,
Sure thing. Half zoom.
they're called pedicelaria. They keep things from settling on sea stars. Oh,
Cool.
Corallimorpharian. Corallimorpharians are usually the ones with the knobby tentacles and the broad oral disc.
Okay. Go right.
There was also a sea pen, a rock pen in this area, Anthoptylum.
There
You
it
can see
is.
it, yeah, right there.
What's that thing? Oh, is that a rock up to the left? Or?
Looks like a stalk.
Yeah, stock sponge,
Oh.
I'd say.
Do a quick zoom on the pen there.
Oh, its base is very cool.
Half zoom.
There's your question mark. Question mark coral.
Yeah.
Oh, and a
It's,
floating urchin.
Anthoptylum,
Did you see that urchin float by?
Aspidodiademated.
Oh,
Urchin.
What is it called?
Aspidodiadematidae is the family. It's a deep sea long spine urchin. Yeah,
Glowing
the
spine.
Anthoptylum sea pens are so many mistakes have been made trying to slurp those up. They just don't go because it looks like it's flexible, but it's actually rigid. So when you slurp them up, they kind of expand in the tube, and then they wedge
Oh.
themselves in.
Wow.
well,
I've had a 0% success rate slurping those up.
I was just going to ask if those spines were flexible or...
Well, I mean, there's no spines on it. It's just that the curly part, like you're right.
Right.
It doesn't flex. It doesn't go straight. It's always rigid like that.
Wow.
So if it gets wedged in there, it's not coming back out. Yep. Ready to go.
Ready.
Since we've got about an hour left on bottom, we can go make a minor course adjustment if it's okay, directly to 7. Sorry.
Yep, sounds good.
Here's another question from chat. Just curious, but since the dives are within a national marine sanctuary, do you need special permits to collect samples?
This is not necessarily a sanctuary, so sanctuaries have a proper status that is different from marine monuments. But yes, you still need permits for working in federally protected waters.
Come under here. You want to come up?
Yep, sure.
Good, you can start going now. Yeah, okay. Sure. Burning across the seabed or not here.
A lot of detritus debris here. This is all good food stuff for animals.
Answering that question in chat. Hi, I'm Grace. Hi, Grace. I'm 10 years old. Cool. My question is, how do you know everything about the Titanic? Like everything was on it, like everything that was on it, or who was on it, or how they passed? That's my question. Well, Grace, the Nautilus did find the Titanic, and how we were...
No. No, Nautilus didn't find the Titanic.
Nautilus didn't find the Titanic. I lied.
No.
Robert Ballard found the Titanic. Sorry, and he was able to find what was on it based on just sending an ROV down. I was able to explore it. Chose not to pick up anything because it is a grave site, unfortunately. And as to find out who was on it, he was able to find out exactly who had been deceased on the ocean floor based on the amount of clothing, articles of clothing, and shoes that he found littered about.
He's also got a really great book that just came out last year.
He's got a really great book
called Into the Deep. You can read
Mm-hmm.
a lot about that expedition. It's a fantastic read.
Highly recommend it.
Sounds like Grace has got some big reading ahead.
Grace, in another 5 or so years.
Good question, Grace.
Check it out.
It's on Audible too.
Oh, it is. Cool.
Oh, I didn't know there was an audiobook. Yeah.
I believe it's on Audible.
Yeah. I suppose that's not his only book either. It's just the one I'm currently reading.
Sure.
All right. Question for the ROV team up front. Does this ROV employ types of remote sensing equipment, types of remote sensing equipment, either simultaneously or on command, other than visual/temperature, such as LIDAR, mag, UV, etc.? This is coming from, blah, blah, blah.
I don't think we use LiDAR. Light won't get very far.
Drix uses LiDAR though.
Does it?
Yeah,
To map?
to dock.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, we have quite the array of sensors on the vehicle. There's all the attitude sensors, temperature sensors, not only for the environment, but for the equipment on the vehicle. Pressure sensors, humidity sensors. We have single beam and multi-beam sonars on the vehicle. Acoustic sensors. We have a whole page full of sensors.
Metallagorgia,
Whole page.
unsettlingly purple.
You can,
Strange.
go over to the
It
more
might just be
data
thin tissue causing
section
the
on the
dark black
website.
skeleton to show through.
See some of those sensors that are published.
Larger sponge debris here, though.
I think if you were to like draw an equivalent to the LiDAR and other sensors used for self-driving vehicles or high-tech vehicles, you would go with the sonar on Hercules that sort of paints the picture of the features around it.
Do a quick zoom there on.
But we
whatever
use
that
acoustics.
is.
Sure.
Sponge? Dead sponge?
Looks like sponge rubble, yep.
You reckon?
The big center stalk of a sponge.
Okay.
The terminology used to describe sponges just keeps contradicting with the fact that it's an animal. And we call it rubble. It sounds like it's a rock.
That's very true.
Yeah, we use the term rubble with corals and sponges. It's basically dead stuff that's broken apart.
What other living thing is called a rubble when it dies?
I guess anything that's yeah, good question.
Maybe some plants.
Maybe if they're calcified, if they're mineralized, maybe.
Yeah.
So Steve, here's another question from chat. Is there a known reason for the abundance of these green crinoids in this area?
Yeah, we're just trying to figure that out. Some sites are like that. They just have an abundance of crinoids, and some sites are not. I think it probably has to do with the flow conditions are pretty good, but yeah, I don't know why there's such an abundance here. It must be just good food sources. If you have good food, good consistent food supply, you can devote a lot of energy to reproduction. When you do that, you have high populations.
Sure.
And then those high populations kind of propagate themselves.
Do you think that's all one crust?
It's a half zoom.
You want to poke it? I think it's like pseudo-nodules,
Yeah, totally.
but there's some botryoidal stuff in there, maybe the underlying rock. It's probably not very thick.
Okay.
We'll call them pseudo-nodules from now on. They're mostly just chunks of basalt.
Well, it's all the same formation on the surrounding rocks.
The texture is just amazing.
Yeah, texture, that's the word I wanted, thank you.
It's like they've all been underwater too long and gone pruny.
Yeah. Just in that kind of one area there.
Brisingid stars.
So my imagination is there kind of a line where
So Crinus.
Where that
Kind of lost
texture
the
is.
corals. Yeah, we haven't seen we've seen some black corals and some sea pens, but nothing like what they were seeing down deeper. Hoping that the cone up here has some good highlight to end on.
So, here's another question from chat. Could you call a pile of gastrolithids rubble? It's a good question. Give it a second.
It's a punctual name though, gastrolith. Lithified in the gas chamber, digestive tract, something like that.
Yeah. So to answer the question, we don't know. It's a good question.
Is that a,
Yeah.
did you see the tumbling
I
snail?
did see, is that what that was?
Yeah.
Ain't nothing gonna break his stride.
They saw one a bit deeper too. It was really cool.
Yeah.
What was it? I missed it.
One of those like tumbling snails.
The
No.
snails that just roll on themselves.
Didn't see it.
Just came into the bottom of the monitor.
I don't know where all the sponge rubble's coming from. There's not too much more up to go.
Just thinking the same. Keep looking for the cliff in the sonar and I don't see it.
Stauropathes, anthoptylum, some occasional bathypathes is really all we're getting up here. Metallagorgia once in a while. Rare.
Okay for gauge checks.
Sure.
Hercules gauges look good.
Right.
Sounds like you're pressing buttons over there. They're set orientations for the camera.
I'm just really quick at orientating the bubble. No, yeah, they're set orientations.
I just hear beep like 6 times.
It's extremely precise camera work is what it is.
You would know something about that.
There's a few presets that turn the bubble to look at the important gauges on Hercules so we make sure.
Yeah, zoom there.
Any zooms? Yep.
Sure.
If I didn't know better, I'd say it's killing the coral.
Yeah, I don't think so. These you find these squat lobsters, Europtychus, on a lot of different types of bathypathes type fans. We saw them on the telepathes a bit deeper as well. Not sure what's going on, why its branches are not growing in that spot. Or they might have been raised in our regrowth. But this is Bathypathes, the squat lobster.
Bathy, pathy, and
It's like something you want to give a hug to, right?
Is it holding something?
No, those
It
are.
looks like it is.
Those are. It could be, but
Wow, what a
those
nice
might be
zoom.
just mandibles. I don't see anything being held.
Yeah, I guess you're right. It looked like it was holding a blob.
Okay, we're all
All right,
set on this
you
one.
can
Good.
go white, thanks.
Alrighty.
Stop.
Right now you can come up. And come under you again so you can come right up.
Roger. It really likes to run on the tilt up direction, but it hasn't run down once on me.
Be interesting to see on the recovery when this one starts working.
Yep, we can keep giving it some tests.
I suspect there's some components in there that aren't, electronic components in there that aren't happy with the pressure.
Is that motor comped from the main input, or is it just a stationary, like stagnant?
They used to be stationary, independent ones, and we made a custom plate to go on there to replace the independent one because it would always leak and they would flood.
Oh yeah, right.
But they've had that issue in both orientations.
Another question from chat. Do you all pH test the water that comes up from our Niskin bottles?
Nope. It's to do
Probably
that
good for a
properly
quick
would
zoom
require
in on that guy.
technology that
Just happens
does
to
not
be
exist
loud and proud.
on this
Look at
ship
that.
right now.
Wow, that's so cool.
It's a little basket.
It's got a
You
Bebo.
pull the DSC up.
Yeah, sorry.
You can also put it in that.
Right there.
Brisingid
Yeah.
sea star.
Yeah, let's do that.
A little tiny cute Upactella glass sponge by it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, too.
Oh, I didn't even see that sponge.
What's that?
What sponge?
There's a little sponge
Behind
next to
it.
it too.
I didn't
He's
see
so
any
tiny.
sponge.
Oh yeah, there it is. Took me forever to see it.
Yeah.
Which PC
Oh.
is it, do you remember?
It may or may not be on one of the PCs. I just cycle through them.
Yeah, okay. Ah, there we go.
Yeah, you can put your nav back there if you want to.
Perfect. What's my depth doing? All right.
I don't really look over there for Argus a lot. When I look over there, I look at the winch. I never find Argus there because it's on deck.
Another Brisingid, perhaps?
Yep.
You can come up a bit more.
Yep.
I'm right underneath you now. And
Roger.
our tether will get.
That one surprisingly didn't have a sea star on it. Like almost every Metallagorgia we see has a sea star.
Until now. Could you remind us what the relationship between
Bambula?
sea stars and these
Yep.
kind of Metallagorgia is?
These types of which?
The
Crinoids?
Metallagorgia?
Metallagorgia.
Metallagorgia.
Oh, the relationship between sea stars and Metallagorgia? Is that what you said?
Yeah, because we seem to see a bunch of brittle stars and other things like that wrap themselves around.
Yeah, with Metallagorgia, they're only typically associated with brittle stars, and with the predominant species in this area, which is Metallagorgia melanotrichos, we find that it is typically, or almost always, actually, I think it would be pretty safe to say always, associated with one species of ophiuroid called Ophiocreus oedipus, and they typically form like a lifelong relationship where you always find Metallagorgia associated with its ophiuroid brittle star commensal. So even from very young, if you were to see one that was newly settled, usually even they will have a ophiuroid associated with them. It's a really unique relationship. There's been some work published on it over the past 10, 20 years or so. So it's one of the few that is distinct, such that anywhere in the world you find Metallagorgia, you always find its associate Ophiocreus. And if you do not find the ophiuroid Ophiocreus, it could be different species than Metallagorgia melanotrichos.
Okay. I'm calibrated to look there for Atalanta. So.
Roger. We have put it in one of the quads up there, but Dan has to do magic over there to make that happen. I don't mind it there.
Yeah, I'm good with it here. I can see the ROV now there.
I need to get after video to put our other.
Excellent. Can you see it okay? Okay.
We're meant to have some more monitors up here.
You think we can fit more monitors in here?
Yeah, we're gonna have some there and some there.
Yeah, okay. Just the whole wall. Looks like I got a pointy ledge in front of me.
There's actually a switch for monitor 5. It doesn't exist yet, so we only have 6 here. Plus all the crazy KVMs. But
Oh, maybe that was something else.
Here's another question from chat. Do scientists know how many areas around our ocean have active underwater volcano activity or geothermal venting, and how quick is all these heating up our oceans affecting sea life?
In terms of how much, so
Can we take a look at this one if we have time?
there's mid-ocean ridges in both the Pacific and the Atlantic oceans. It's a good amount of volcanism. And then
go ahead, Dan. Zoom in on
you
that
bet. At subduction zones, there's some
Absolute.
volcanism as well.
Right.
And then geothermal or hydrothermal vents are pretty sparse. But it's not enough heat output, at least as far as I know, to really affect the oceans.
Wow, that is precise driving.
Wow. Yeah.
And in that case, it wouldn't affect the sea life as much. But around those areas, you see the sea life has adapted to the the conditions that the volcanism brings.
It just happened to move around. That wasn't me, it was the animal.
Can we take a Niskin bottle here just in case?
Sure.
There's definitely
It's not high density, but it would
an
be good
input,
to have
though.
one before we get to the summit. Fill up all the Niskins, and Meredith can decide if they're worth taking. So in this area, we should note that there's at least Metallagorgia, and then other black coral species.
Show me that minute there.
Yep. DSC has a neat shot of the stalk.
See, it looks like we got 3 and 5 left.
That is correct.
Nice.
And before we go, can we zoom back in tight on this coral in front of us? Specifically on the edges. It looks a little fluffy.
Go ahead, Dave.
Sure. Fluffy edges.
Yeah.
Fluffy coral.
It does look mucusy, so maybe it could be like phytodetritus or something like that. It's abundant at this site, but we want to get really tight on the, the fringes of the colony. Yeah, it looks like, mucus.
Yeah.
It's either mucus or phytodetritus, basically food.
It's full zoom.
But it's so interesting that it's all the way around the fringes of the colony. That's pretty cool. So this is like coral smorgasbord, basically. Lots of food. Okay, I think we're all set there.
Some catching up to do.
Full wide.
Coming up, thanks.
Answer question chat. How long are dives? What's the time between, what's the time to this one end, estimated time? Dives are usually between 16 and 20 hours. And this one will end in probably another 2-3 hours or so. Don't quote me on that.
We'll be coming off the bottom in about 30 minutes.
There you go. Another question, chat.
Effectively the end.
Right.
Something like that. Another question from chat. I'm someone who's passionate for marine science, and I would like to go into career. Are there any books that you'd recommend for someone pursuing this field? Bob Ballard's Into the Deep, for starters.
Yeah. What age range that could be
all
important
jumping
too.
Just
Everybody, let's jump off.
Party on this bamboo.
Oh,
Dead bamboo.
one at the top is thinking about it.
freedom.
Oh.
Oh, there they go.
Long live the
If they-
king.
When do they jump? Do they get full and they have to go down and chillax for a while before they get hungry and climb up again?
I don't know.
Don't want to get cramps.
How long does it take for them to climb up a coral stalk like that?
Probably not long. You can see the one on the bottom is actually moving pretty fast. I'd say,
Ah.
you know, they can move from the base of the coral up to the branches within about 10 or 15 minutes in some cases.
Wow.
So it's fast.
Might get a little tug here.
Yeah, okay, I'm moving on.
Oh, person asking about books is 17. So am I. Of course, our main recommending source is currently indisposed, but we will get back to you in just a second.
Hello, Hercules.
Great. Steve, the person who is asking about books is my age.
Yeah. So there, I mean, there's a few. What was it? What was the theme? Biology, geology, oceanography?
Marine biology. Marine science, sorry.
So if you're interested in invertebrates and things, you know, the kind of the animal aspects, I've read a few good books over the years. There's a book called Horseshoe Crabs and Velvet Worms. That's about kind of like weird weird biology story of animals. It came out a few years ago, 2012, a few years. My perspective on time is really bizarre. Feels like I read it just yesterday. So it's a story about like ancient animals, most of them marine, but you know, animals that kind of, you know, look really archaic. Strong marine theme, of course. For the deep sea, or just marine science generally, I know I've read a bunch of good ones. Most recently, I read a book about, not strictly marine, but it's more about natural history, about Alexander von Humboldt, who was a naturalist in the late early 1800s. He didn't do a lot of ocean work, but a lot of interesting stories about natural history and how science can be applied to biology and these types of things. What else?
In a second.
Maybe not as formally scientific, but I really enjoyed a book about geology for non-geologists called The Ends of the World, written by Peter Brannan. It's quite accessible, fun read, short novel, covers the 5 mass extinction events, and you learn about the different, oh gosh, Brannan, I'm going to call them the wrong thing, periods. I think that's what they're called. And the different species that survived within each one and those that were able to survive the mass extinction events.
And someone in chat actually
Nice.
recommends The Book of Eels is a wonderful book. Covers when and how humans learned about these complex animals.
That is a good book. I've read that one. Yep. There's a book I read recently called The Brilliant Abyss, which is by Helen Scales. Anyone read that one?
Steve, I have that pulled up on my computer right here. I was just
Yep.
going to throw my name in for that one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's sitting on my bookshelf right down in my room.
Yep.
Can't wait to read it.
I read that one last year, I think.
What is it?
The Brilliant Abyss
Yep.
by Helen Scales.
There's also The Sea is My Country. It's about an indigenous tribe of Maka. I'm so sorry, I may pronounce the tribal name wrong, but it's a tribal community. It's called The Sea is My Country, and it's about the maritime world that they experience as a living. I think it's based in Washington State, I believe. But
Cool.
It's a good read if you want to learn about indigenous sciences and ocean science as well.
Nice.
And if you are interested in trying to join the Nautilus team, you can always go to our website at nautiluslive.org and click the Join tab, and from there you can reach out to our team and ask for
Not sure what that is.
positions.
Maybe
And
polyopogon or some
you can
bizarre
see
theronematid.
if you can hopefully get an opportunity to join the team. And some keywords for that.
No, I'm going to try and get back around and coming actually down the hill here. If we wanted to
Never mind.
take advantage of the last bit of the dive here, we could go directly uphill. But
Yeah, let's do that. Let's get to the top.
that would be 315-ish.
Then to
One of our previous SCFs had a really good
yeah.
kids book library too for oceanography. So that's actually what I've been I've been reading more kids books lately.
That's where I'm getting at.
And to answer that question,
Uphills this way.
answer the question in the chat. Are there any dangerous predators like shark or anglerfish at this depth or this area?
20 meters that way. 40 meters, 315.
You can find some sharks. There have been sightings from other watches. Unfortunately, we have not seen any. But yeah, there are some quote unquote dangerous predators this sort of depth.
The craft manipulator.
It's the most dangerous one.
It is a predator.
It's the apex predator.
Some might have missed Dan's subtlety, but it's really named the predator by craft.
Here's a question for Steve. Steve, after watching these dives and seeing how long a lot of these stalks / stems may grow in length, why is that as there's no light at these depths? Wouldn't it be easier on energy on the coral or sponges to grow sideways instead of upwards? Or is it due to current density and of the ocean / seawater that the coral and sponges are taking advantage of to grow upwards?
What they're trying to do is escape what's called the benthic boundary layer. So it's, in fluid dynamics, there's friction, right? So water flowing over a surface like a seamount is going to slow down because it encounters friction with the bottom. So if animals can get higher up off of the bottom, they'll have an opportunity to feed in faster flows. And those faster flows will deliver more food per unit time. And if they have more food, they can usually either grow or reproduce more. So it helps their energetic balance a little bit to be higher up off the bottom. Yeah, that's a good field, fluid dynamics.
You bet it is.
Yep. Very complicated. But there's been some really cool stuff done with PIV lately.
Particle image velocimetry.
Yes, that is really cool. And how different types of fluids, by tracking particles, might flow around biological things. Because these animals have been, evolving for millions of years, and they have fine-tuned their body plans and morphologies to be maximum efficiency at capturing particles. And so by looking at how water flows around them, you can better understand how natural systems might improve our own engineering and fluid dynamics.
That's very cool.
That's so cool.
Something really bizarre to think about in fluid dynamics is, in theory, at the direct interface between the hard substrate and the water is what's called a no slip region, or there's actually no fluid movement between the rock and the ocean. As you get further away from the bottom, the friction allows water to move greater and greater. And as Steve was saying, there is this like boundary layer of free-flowing ocean all the way down to ocean that does not flow over the very bottom.
Wow.
The same thing happens in the air, on an airplane. There's different fluid.
Talking about Bernoulli.
We could get into Bernoulli.
What's that?
We could get into Bernoulli. I don't think actually, we got propellers on here.
We do. We getting any lift off the buoyancy?
Well, buoyancy force will be different than our lift force. I think if we fly fast enough, we're going to get If anyone wants to talk fluid dynamics, I will happily sit down with you.
We're not going anywhere.
Good 6 a.m. chat.
Yeah, casual fluid dynamics chat, 6 a.m.
You know, the huge. Then, hi benthic boy. Here's to answer your question. How great is the water pressure at this depth? I could be wrong, but it's a little over 2,000 psi. 2,300. Sorry, 2,336 psi. About.
160 bar.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
2,300.
Little starfish there. Sea star.
Divide by 10.
Some other
it's a
great
nice
books.
to see.
Yeah, some other great books too that are generally good all around is anything by Carl Safina would be a good place to start if you want to learn about marine conservation. Not so much the deep sea, but shallow water.
You see in there, Dan?
Little scuttler there, yeah. What's he doing?
Cease.
Cool.
Small hermallid crab.
Plastic.
Nice.
Answer that
Spending some
question.
energy
A
there.
little anemone on them.
Oh wait.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Yeah.
Oh.
Ooh.
Wow. It looks like he has a skirt. A little Hawaiian skirt.
Little guy.
Full wide.
And to answer that question, are you all from Hawaii, or are you all from all
Yeah.
over?
Yeah.
From all over.
Who's the farthest? Yeah, we're kind of from all over.
10 minutes, right?
We
What
can
do we
actually, if you'd want, we can do a little bit of an introduction of where we're from. So I'm Matt. I'm from California. We can go this way.
Brandon, scientist, focusing on geology. I'm from Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm Steve, watch lead, biology science lead too. And I am between Boston and New York.
Aloha everybody, I'm Kukui, data logger, and I'm from Maui, Hawaii.
Then we can toss it over to cameraman Dan.
Yeah. Hi everyone, I'm Dan. I'm the video engineer up here in the dark corner. And I'm originally from the Twin Cities, Minnesota. Much colder than here.
St. Paul or Minneapolis? The control van?
Just north of St. Paul. About 20 minutes.
What is the control vent temperature?
We have
Freezing.
60
cold.
degrees.
Okay, so that's actually not, that's like what, 15 degrees Celsius? This is like the current weather in Vancouver, maybe even a little warmer.
Yeah, this is winter in California. This is.
So I'm Gibson, I'm the Atlanta pilot, ROV intern. And I'm from a small town called Manus Bay on Vancouver Island, but I just say Vancouver. People ask because it's a big enough city, people know where it is.
I'm Dan, sitting in the Herc chair. I'm born and raised in San Diego, California. Currently reside somewhere near the end of the pavement in Oregon.
I'm Lynette. I'm the navigator, and I am from northern Wisconsin.
So in terms of who's the farthest,
I think that.
Steve,
Who
probably
traveled the
Steve,
furthest to
yeah.
get here?
Yeah.
That came out of New York.
But yeah, strangest creature, probably that toothed eel. Yeah,
Really dancing around that.
guys, it's on the tip of my tongue, but it keeps on fleeting my brain.
I think Rob might have actually traveled the furthest. He was out of Rhode Island.
Yeah.
In terms of people who are from Hawaii, we have
is there anyone
Kukui
from
and Hoku and Ivan?
from Seacom in New Hampshire on this cruise? No.
No.
And Ani.
Usually there's a mapper or something.
I'm a grad student at CCOM, but I'm living in Wisconsin right
Okay.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think Rhode Island might have been the furthest person to travel to get here.
And then going back to a question from a while ago, because I'm sure they've reminded me to answer it. You're 17 years old. How did you get here? I've been watching the Nautilus for a very, very long time, since I was about 14. And I started
That is a long
reaching.
time.
Well, long time for me, Dan.
Quarter of his life.
I am Marvel compared to the rest of you. But I've been watching Nautilus since I was about 14. And I was always inspired by Bob Ballard, because he was also dyslexic and was also not very good in school, as was I. And so I decided to start reaching out to people, because I heard they did a internship for guest students aboard
If you
the
want
Nautilus.
a crinoid, that rock right there looks pretty good.
So I
will skip
started.
it. Okay, there's nothing. No urgency to sample right now.
Sorry, Matt.
No problem. But I went to the Nautilus website, and I just started emailing people that I was interested that were interested in. So I started out with people that already did voyages, and then
No,
through that sort of
Roger.
just through that sort of communication, I got other people's emails, all the way up until I got someone very, very high up in the chain's email, and they were able to connect me with Megan, who is one of our or Allison, sorry, who is currently our lead officer, and she said this took years and years and years, and then I mean like 2 years, but eventually she was able to. She said, if you'd like to come aboard, you're more than welcome to. Here's some paperwork to fill out. And I was able to fill out the paperwork and got my parents to sign off on some stuff. And now I'm here. So yeah, that's basically how I got here. I've just been very, very passionate about this for almost 3 years now.
So what is the current doing here? Is it coming out of the anything?
Good question. Go dead. Stick for a minute. See what happens. Going up what little hill we have here. Doesn't seem to be doing a lot, Steve.
Yeah. Pretty,
It's very
okay. That's
subtle.
surprising. Huh.
Okay.
The vehicle's drifting very slowly, 340-ish. Northish.
Yeah.
What do the models say?
Kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So what do we got, 5-10 more minutes?
Something like that. I think we're...
Yeah, that's right.
What did we figure out again? 1,600 divided by 15.
I
Yeah,
think you said 105 minutes.
yeah, like 1 hour, 45 minutes, 47 minutes.
47 minutes.
Can we take one big step towards waypoint 7?
One small step for Hercules.
One giant leap for,
Thank-
for Nautilus?
Thanks, man.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you can kick her into gear there up there.
Answer the question.
Sure.
Answer the question in the chat. What about high schoolers from outside of the U.S.? I
gotta
actually
be down the
graduated
hill,
high
but-
school, so I recommend doing that first, and then starting that process. So I'll be 18 this year. I just so happen to be on the younger side of the 2004 age range.
But they accept international.
Yeah, so very much so. So, yeah, if you're outside of the U.S., you have just as good of a chance of getting in as anyone else. The OET program is very accommodating.
You know, you get kids from all over the planet.
Yeah.
The crew of the Nautilus is also international crew.
Yeah, most of our crew is actually Ukrainian, is it?
Yeah, but
Oh,
currently we have
Glass sponge.
where is he from? South Africa, I think.
Who?
One of the deck crew. He's been around a bit. He's been to 82 different countries.
Wow.
Oh my
Ooh.
gosh.
That's what a maritime lifestyle will do.
Yeah.
I know Oriole's from Panama, but lots of crew from Ukraine.
Yeah, it's a
Is it
very
from Panama?
Yeah.
yeah, it's a very diverse group.
He just jumps on whatever ship's coming through the
Comes through
canal.
the canal.
Goes for a ride.
George was saying he's been on big bulk carriers from Australia to Europe.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
He said they were, I'm gonna mess it up. I forget how many. They were as wide as Nautilus is long,
Really?
and there was the length figure he gave me as some crazy amount of meters.
Jeez.
Wow.
George is our safety officer.
We love George.
Yeah, Oriel described this boat as a kayak.
Yes,
It is a
Kayak.
I have heard him say that.
I work on boats where the small crane could pick up Nautilus and put it on the back deck.
The biggest boat I've ever seen was when we were docked at Gulfport, Mississippi. Big pipeline layer. Never seen such a bigger boat in my life.
I think this is a pretty big boat.
I'm with you, man.
Same.
Any speculation why there's so many crinoids in this area? Very few other sea life. We assume it's just good food for them. We're not 100% sure.
Yeah, there's good flow conditions here. You can tell that there's not really a predominant flow direction because all these Metallagorgia are oriented in different directions.
We're just kind of everywhere.
Yep. Surprising to see them here at all then. Yep.
So question, does everyone have different meals each day, or is their diet consists of Spam musubi?
Ooh, I wish. I could go for a Spam musubi.
You know, fun fact,
Wish.
I have not seen any Spam on this ship this entire time. I expected to see a lot more. No, we have some very, very good cooks here in the Nautilus. They cook very, very different things throughout the day and throughout the week. So, and sometimes they repeat themselves, but some of the food's very, very good. Like the chicken curry is my personal favorite.
We had carrot cake on the 4th of July.
That's
Ooh.
true.
That was
We
a
did
good
have
cake.
carrot cake.
That was a really good one.
Some pretty good ribs too.
The lamb shanks also have been
Oh, yeah.
pretty good.
Oh yes.
Yep.
That's a matter of opinion.
It's all relative.
I've just been starving all the time. So.
Honestly, my favorite's been the hamburgers.
Yeah.
You know, I've always slept through lunch whenever they served those, so I've never had the
Oh,
opportunity
man.
to have them.
Okay, Dan.
Big zoom.
Nice.
Intricate.
Look at that.
Euplectellid sponge.
Ooh.
Take it all the way. Full zoom there, is it?
No. There we go.
It's challenging iris, isn't it?
Yeah, it's that background does not make it.
Sorry, I did.
No, it's not you. It's
What if I change some lighting?
that could help.
What do you think, Dan?
Yeah, turn the mid lights off, or the down lights.
There we go. It's a little bit better.
How's that?
There we go.
Ooh.
That was Dan's call. Good call.
Thank you.
Little spicules on the outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuzzy wuzzy.
It's very. There we go.
Nice. That is some nice cinematics right there. I can't wait to see that in the highway reel with some motivational music.
All right, I think it's time.
Really?
All right.
It is about that time.
5 more minutes.
Come on, Mom. 5 more minutes.
If it wasn't crinoids on repeat, I would say, okay, 5 more minutes. I think we're all set to come off.
Fine.
Delta Dan and the crinoids on repeat.
It's our newest single.
That was a good end.
Okay. Now we get to the fun questions. Did you have a party on the 4th of July? Yeah, we did, actually. It was pretty nice. We got to go on the top deck.
Okay.
And it was really nice to hang out out there. And just hang out with everyone else.
We got a nice safety demonstration.
We did get a safety demonstration,
Ah, yes.
which was nice. We got to have our little
Do you want me
fireworks
to go
around.
tail to tail here? Or are you going to do that?
Yeah, I'll,
So just turn auto heading off.
you want to come around, but I don't think it matters there.
I'll come around.
Come around whichever way.
Do you ever take pictures for learning material, or take textbooks or learning material? I'm sure textbooks and learning material can use our pictures. It's all public for public use, but not specifically, I don't think.
Interesting.
Wow,
That
yeah.
is interesting.
Huge piles of
It's like a
sponge debris.
peanut butter covered pancake.
Oh.
Wow, how hungry are you
Yeah,
that you
hungry
think
gets it?
peanut butter covered
That was-
pancake when
wow.
you see that?
I see Nutella covered pancakes.
I was going to
so-
say, I thought you were the Nutella guy.
Yeah.
It'd be like eating hair, I'm sure.
Oh, gosh.
Ay.
You know, if you just kind of squint your eyes, make it a little blurry.
Yeah.
really
It
Take our
looks like
glasses off.
raccoons. No, it looks like skunks maybe.
Ain't coming up all the
Kind of
time,
reminds me of
are
a
you?
porcupine,
No, I'm
actually,
not coming up.
Yeah.
when their bristles aren't,
Poking out at you.
yeah.
What is this again? Do we know?
Sponge debris.
Sponge debris. Thank you.
Not a porcupine.
Do you want me to be coming up more?
Oh, no.
What's that?
Think you want me to be coming up more?
Yeah, it's time to come up.
How did you spell that?
Don't worry about it.
Can't spell debris, Matt.
I
noticed.
noticed. I'm dyslexic.
I mean,
Sorry.
to be fair, it is
I
silent.
can start coming up.
The E
Roger.
in debris. It's like debris.
Debris.
Yeah, debris.
Debris. Sponge debris.
Answer the question, do you need any environmental/civil engineers? Anybody's welcome aboard the Nautilus. Backgrounds and everything else, regardless. So I believe...
Still going.
You coming up?
I am coming up.
I'm fighting it
Daddy.
as long as possible.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
No.
he finally got me.
Yeah.
The winch always wins.
Oh.
Okay, coming up now.
Roger.
I'm gonna switch you over to USBL.
Roger. Off bottom.
So
Like a dog on a choke chain.
here's another question. What life do you expect to see in the ascent? Is there any unexpectables you hope to see as well? Yeah, I'd love to see a whale. That'd be dope. Maybe a shark. That'd be really cool. What do we expect to see? Probably nothing.
There's a lot of microbiology life, like siphonophores.
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 That's true.
Ctenophores. Sometimes swimming schools of fish. Those are fun to see.
Yeah,
Yeah, we saw a mahi-mahi one
Yeah.
time.
What?
That was cool.
Where was I?
You were here.
I was here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you were. It was actually on our
Thank
watch.
you, Dave.
It was like a couple, it was like a week and a half ago.
Yeah, it was more towards the beginning, but
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
Why don't I not remember any of
M&M.
this?
It was like 3 of them.
Chocolate
It was like for
M&Ms.
2
Wow.
seconds.
Oh.
Yeah, it was cool.
Wonder if they'll roll.
If you're the main character in a deep sea video game,
They're gonna
what
roll,
kind
alright.
of creature would you be? Well, my favorite game of all time is a little known game called Barotrauma, which is about you're a submarine. It's super cool. And I'd probably be, I'd probably be that. That's a cool video game.
So I was thinking about this, and because I saw the question earlier, and I'd be a carrier crab carrying an important package across the ocean.
Aye.
A little Death Stranding, but deep ocean version. Somebody understands what that means.
Somebody from home is regretting buying that game.
What about you, Sue?
What was the question?
Let me find it again.
If you were a creature, you were the main character in a video game, but you had to be a deep sea creature.
Victorgorgia.
Giant isopod.
Oh.
Can't go wrong. Yeah, I can't go wrong with that. Dominating.
Ah, yes. I think I'd be a hydroid taking over all the sponge docks.
I would be
Just one, or?
Maybe the ruler.
Ooh.
The 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 peak.
Could be like an RTS.
Oh, yeah,
You control all the
crinoids.
hydroids attacking the coral.
I would be a brittle star, and I would try and like dive into like certain targets on the rock floor. You know, jump off a coral and parachuting.
I can see that.
Skydiving.
Base
The
jumping.
paratrooper core.
Base jumping, yeah.
for the brittle stars.
Yeah, I like Lynette's idea. Crinoids.
Death Stranding
They
is a
look like
quality.
plants.
Yep.
It's okay to be wrong person in
That
chat.
would be the voracious ocean predator ctenophore. Red
Oh,
ctenophore,
yeah.
LED lights,
Yeah,
and long
those are
tentacles.
so
that
cool.
retract.
It's got to be my favorite animal.
I'd be the tumbling snail, just because it'd be a speed running simulator.
It can be like Turbo, but at the deep sea.
Exactly. This, except I don't get sucked into a hydraulic engine. I just move.
Ah,
You just want to be the tumbling snail because of all the songs you could sing.
That's true. Roll it, roll it, roll it, roll it.
We can drug out at 40 meters. See if it rubber bands back now.
Would I be able to join the Nautilus team while in college? If so, how would that work? You can. I believe actually some of our people here are still in college.
Yep.
If you just join the Nautilus team over the summer, when you usually, or if you don't have a semester or you want to take a semester off,
You could just leave mid-semester.
Yeah, just yeah.
That's what,
I was about
that's
to
what
do
people
that.
do.
It's an option.
Yeah, then you can come on board. Any need for a photographer? Yeah, we have cameraman Dan, who's actually our documentarian. So if you're a photographer or have any experience with
worm.
cameras, you're more than welcome to join.
looks like it's a final four.
That reminds me, how's the 3D modeling going of the
Oh, don't remind me.
That's a sore subject.
It looks like it's going well.
Yeah, it's going well, except for the other day I was telling Gibson I don't know if I cross-threaded it or, I don't know what I did, but it's stuck on the tripod now, so I gotta visit you guys down at the ROV shop, and we might have to
We have
see if we
hammers
can-
and crescent wrenches
Yeah.
to fix it.
yeah, one way or
Saw it
another.
over.
When you said
But,
cross-threading, I thought that was like a photogrammetry like terminology. No, he just
Oh.
cross-threaded the screwing it on.
Yeah, no, but the actual photos, it's going well. We're up to 220 scans so far, and
Hey.
not even done. We still have the aft deck. We have the
Have you done the ROV shop?
top side. Nope. So that we're gonna attempt to do today, actually.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. So we're gonna do the hangar. Basically, go outside from the wet lab to the aft deck, swoop around to the hangar, go down the hallway, and then the last thing we have is actually the van. So gonna catch either the 8 to 12 or the 12 to 4 watch, and do my best to tell everyone not to look at the camera. We'll see how that goes.
Oh, you're gonna do it while people are in here.
Yep.
That's cool.
That's the plan.
Everyone
Tentative
act
plan.
natural.
So we all have to like hold really still while you're doing
Yeah.
it?
Well, it's not gonna be us, so, but
Or they all have to hold really still?
yeah, I don't know how it's gonna work out.
Everyone, mannequin challenge.
It's a little,
go.
yeah, it's a little bit of a test.
Mannequin challenge.
Hey man, that was from my childhood.
Other
I'm
than that,
still in my childhood.
I don't know what
It's
that
going-
is.
going good so far.
So what's going to be the end result of these scans? How do people see them, what you're talking about, and interact with it?
Yeah, so it's definitely a work in progress. I think it's going to be updated on the website. We had,
The second one.
for lack of a better word, kind of a prototype scan that we used without the Matterport. It's actually, I think it was just done on an iPhone or an iPad.
It was done on an iPhone 13.
Yeah, so Jonathan would be the person to ask for that.
He's the one that did it with his iPhone. He spent days walking around the boat.
Yeah,
but-
yeah, that was, that must have been far more tedious than my job.
I don't think so. It was pretty easy with the iPhone. I have the same app on my iPhone. You just walk around it. But
Well, the thing is, he had to spin around in circles.
yeah,